Ladies and gents, welcome to UX, and this is the impossible to debunk UFO events by the channel Good Enough. Yes, another good enough video. This is an awesome channel. Very early videos that I watched from this channel was about cats and cats attacks. How basically most of them were in India. I really loved it. Like, I'm gonna remember that video forever. Like, it was really good. And yeah, there have been many other videos like that. So this is like, yeah, difficulty to, yeah. Good Enough uses like extreme graphics to show something. It's like he took that salmonella element where sometimes salmonella goes extreme and shows something. Good Enough, like, I'm gonna do that all the time. Which is like, yeah, I guess it works. But yeah, this is gonna be about UFO events. It's been a thing recently a lot. Like, there have been meetings and things, right? Like, talking about UFOs. It's like popping up a lot. Even military is talking about, yeah, we don't know what the fuck that is. But you know, one thing I'm gonna say, like, sky is such a big place. Ocean is a big place, and we don't know what the fuck is in ocean. Just by how physics works, sky is gonna be even bigger place, right? So there's many gonna be phenomena that, like, we can't just know without like really researching. That doesn't mean aliens from space, but it's really interesting to see like what's happening. So that's what this one.
Difficult to debunk and work our way towards the ones that are impossible. Number 5, the Tic Tac UFO. In April of 2020, the US government...
Yeah, I watched a let me know video on that. I don't think it's on my channel. Deleted all let me know videos. He doesn't like reactions, I guess, as somebody told me, like, people told me. Few people, so I'm like, yeah, must be true. But yeah, I remember watching that documentary level video. It was really awesome, like how the UFO, how military was responding.
Released these videos showing a pill-shaped UAP speeding above the ocean near San Diego, California. Not only was this criminal breaking the law by speeding, they were also flying completely recklessly. It went from high speeds to a complete stop, hovered in place, then instantly accelerated faster than any known jet in existence, dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level within a second. As you can tell, the quality is absolutely terrible. But don't worry, with my $600...
Yeah, but the physics, man. What material can withstand that level of atmospheric, impact if you're gonna do that fast, right? There are atoms there, there is air there. Doing that in a second, like, I don't know. They didn't even pick up heat or something. Like, heat wasn't generating. What would happen if it goes that fast? That makes me think it wasn't really physical things. I think they're just making like some kind of an error.
Computer and my state-of-the-art technology, I will be converting this terrible video into 4K resolution for the first time in history. Don't thank me. It's the least I could do.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why this UAP sighting can't be debunked is simply because there isn't any known craft that can perform these maneuvers. But it gets even crazier. The craft didn't release any heat while flying, which would be expected from any conventional propulsion system. Then, of course, the obvious.
If it takes a second to drop to the seafloor level, that level of velocity, E equals mc square, everything's energy, as I've said in the past. Like, it's a good way to think of it. If it does that, like, where is the heat going? How is it dissipating heat? Even if it's dissipating heat, you would still be able to pick it up. If it has no heat, like, that's not, like, nothing in the universe can break physics, even if it's alien. Like, so that's just probably some kind of a mistake. I know people say people with their eyes saw it, some visual anomaly, I don't know.
Its shape. The craft didn't have wings, rotors, exhaust, and clearly no aesthetics. Yuck. The US government has confirmed that it has no explanation for what the craft is, how it moves, or where it comes from. So you're probably thinking, how can this sighting sit at the top of the list when there's actual video proof? Well, after years of being lied to, it's hard to believe anything the government tells us. It's not my fault that I ended up this way. It's theirs. Number 4, the Washington Flap.
Government is mostly stupid a lot of time. Government is made of people. Some of them are going to be smart. Some of them are going to be stupid. It's stupid as higher ups. They might dismiss anything that is genuine and expert opinion if they feel like this bullshit. That happens a lot, especially recently, when people who have no experience in anything are put in a position where they shouldn't be because they don't know nothing about that and just make shit up.
In July of 1952, Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base detected fast-moving objects in the sky performing impossible maneuvers. The operators moved in to investigate. What they saw left them in shambles. The flying objects were seen hovering in place and instantly darting off in random directions. They made quick turns, sudden stops, vanished and reappeared unpredictably. But get this, the UAPs weren't just flying in random locations in the sky. They were flying directly over restricted airspace, directly over the White House and the surrounding Capitol buildings. This was a clear message. So naturally, the US sent fighter jets to confront the mysterious crafts. But they were easily outmaneuvered, disappearing when they approached
Stupid
and reappearing
American
when the
jets.
jets flew
Stupid American jets, F-35s, like, it sucks. F-35 sucks. I mean, they should have used some other planes. I'm sure they would have outmaneuvered it. If the latest F-35s and F-22s, I don't know, some shit like that, they probably use probably F-35s. If something is outmaneuvering that, like, that's like, what the fuck is even that, right?
past them. Obviously, the UAPs knew they could never win in a fair head-to-head matchup. But here's where things get interesting. A Coast Guard officer managed to photograph these mysterious crafts. To this day, this
It's just
photograph has
lights.
never been debunked and remains unresolved. The scariest part of all this is that these objects didn't just show up for one night. They flew over Washington, D.C. for 4 nights and were seen by thousands of people. In the coming days, countless newspapers printed thousands of articles exposing the event to the rest of the country. And as you can imagine, the general public didn't take the news well. It triggered a mass wave of fear, panic, and public anxiety.
Oh, shit.
With public pressure growing, the CIA was forced to release a statement. The UFOs were an illusion produced by temperature inversion. As anxiety resumed, the government pivoted and simply reassured the public that the
People want definite answer. There are no definite answer because we don't know what the fuck that is. That is the closest answer you can give. Is that true? What is true in life? We are talking about the frontiers of everything. Like in any frontier, like when you go like what is true? Science will never tell you what is true. Science will give you probabilities. That's what it is. But chances are that's what probably is right. Like, yeah. There are many phenomena that happen basically in our skies. Like people like astrophysicists who constantly look on top, like usually knows what the fuck they're looking at. Most people don't, including military. People used to like detect UFOs on top of mountains. Before certain astrophysicists came and like, yeah, that's the weather phenomenon. At the top of mountain, the way how pressure creates and how the light reflects when the sun is going down, it looks like a UFO. It's not a fucking UFO. And they basically showed that with proper like diagrams and everything. Be like, yeah. And even then, people like with tinfoil, that's bullshitting. It's like, yeah, this is what like you don't want to believe, fine, but this is what's happening.
sightings were not hostile and did not represent a threat. Finally, an explanation they could understand. On the heels of that good news, people moved on, releasing countless books and films to profit from the event. Number 3, the Phoenix Lights. On March 13th, 1997, up to 20,000 people across Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico.
I remember watching some shows back in the day, Fact or Fiction. There was a show. When I was a kid, I don't know when exactly, was I a kid? Was I like in my teens? I don't know. But I used to watch that like when I come home at night, right? It's like one of those things like before like day is done. This is like something I take some food or something. Back then I used to drink Mountain Dew with some certain like fried peanuts or shit. Like it tasted good. And this was one of the things I used to do. Even then I knew like how science works. I was a science nerd since day one. So I kind of knew like, yeah, okay, the way, even they were like didn't point blank lying. They were like kind of being dismissive about things. But the main thing was like they were going outside and trying to recreate shit, which was fun. It's like going out with your friends and doing some things type of way, right? A very expensive thing. So it was a good show to watch. Like me and my friends sometimes gather around, watch that. Usually I'm alone because it was my thing at night. But usually my friends and we all watch that, right? It was always fun. It was one of those things like you don't take it seriously, but it was a fun thing to do. So I remember this episode of Arizona Lights one. Like people like you see distance in light disappearing.
Saw something in the sky that night that forever changed their lives. Around 7:30 p.m., a large V-shaped craft appeared flying overhead at low altitude. It had 5 to 7 bright round lights along its base and flew completely silent. Witnesses claimed the craft was enormous, spanning around a mile in length. Some even described that it felt like a floating city was flying overhead. For perspective,
I remember they recreated this with spotlights or something. Fact or Fiction? No, wait a minute. Fact or Faked or something like that. There was a show like that, right? It was inspired by the Destination Truth and that guy. I forgot Josh, his name. Like he became a big enough deal, but like inspired by that shit. There was many shows like that from like National Geographic. Was it? I don't remember exactly. It was back then.
Largest known craft today has a wingspan of around 385 feet or 117 meters, which means this craft would have been around 14 times larger than the largest craft on Earth. Later, while speaking to the news, some even claimed that the craft flew so low that night that they could have hit it with the ball, which we can all agree is a weird time to show off. The craft flew from Nevada and into Mexico before it disappeared into the sky around 10 p.m. After the event, many Air Force pilots, including the governor of Arizona, came out and said that they had never seen or heard of any aircraft like the one they saw on that night. Despite tremendous pressure, the US government never issued an official statement about what flew through the sky that night. To this day, the event remains one of the greatest UAP mysteries in history. Number 2.
Yeah, then again, like that could be one of those things that could have been like something like a B-2 bomber doing something, and government doesn't want to say that or release a statement. People just mistaken its size, because at night looking at the sky, especially if there's moon out, there's clouds there, it's not easy to see like how far away something is. It could have been something like B-2 bomber or some other US plane that they want to keep it secret. There's a reason why Area 51 is top secret. Shit is happening there, military things that people don't want to tell. The military doesn't want to give out statement like that.
The Belgian UFO wave. Typically, when UFO or UAP sightings occur, it's usually followed by intense cover-ups, threats, and misinformation. You just have to take a look at the Roswell incident, the Westall UFO encounter, the Hudson Valley UFO wave, and the US CSS Nostromo incident to see this pattern. But the Belgian UFO wave is one of the most interesting UFO encounters in history for a very unique reason. You see, the Belgian government was the first in history to be completely transparent, working hand in hand with citizens in an attempt to uncover the truth. From 1989 through 1990, there were over 13,500 reported UFO sightings across the country, with thousands of those leads being officially documented by the Belgian government. Information that was gathered was quickly shared with the general public in hopes of finding out who or what exactly was flying over the restricted airspace. Obviously, there are way too many UFO sightings to cover here, so I'll just talk about their largest and most famous sighting, the Eupen sighting. On November 29, 1989, around 5:30 p.m., 2 Belgian police officers were on patrol on the outskirts of Eupen when out of nowhere, a giant triangle craft appeared in the sky flying overhead at low altitude. The craft had bright circular lights underneath each corner.
Isn't that awesome that just 3-4 years from this, 3-4, no wait a minute, it was in 91 or was it 93, I don't know, something like that. X-Files came. Holy shit, what a show. I still remember, like, when I was a kid I watched it, but then I'm pretty sure I watched it, catch few episodes later on as well. But damn, what a show, right? Even that has that episode, right? Like, like he's like doing something in the car, UFO comes, car stops suddenly. The show has awesome mystery to it. Is it UFO? Is it government? We don't know. There's element there all the time. But yeah.
The red light in the center, and it flew completely silently. The 2 officers followed the craft as it slowly worked its way into town. Once it arrived, it hovered above Eupen for about 45 minutes before it once again began to move. It slowly flew towards a nearby remote lake, where it hovered in place for around an hour before disappearing past the forest and into the horizon. But here's where things get even creepier. Back in town, a second similar craft appeared, seemingly following the same path as the first, before vanishing past the forest as well. Sightings like this one were not rare and occurred hundreds, if not thousands of times within the span of a year. But towards the end of 1990, the sightings began to slow significantly. The conclusion the government...
Yeah, what could it be in the late 90s? Late 80s and early 90s. Like, really think about this. It's like end of Soviet Union. I don't think Soviets had any craft that looks like that. Maybe they're bombers, right? Like their bombers are like they were destroyed by Ukraine recently, like that nuclear bombers and things like that. They have this kind of weird shape to them with lights. It might look like a triangle, maybe. Or like once people mistakes, okay, makes sense. But it has multiple times and people still don't understand what that is. Like, I don't know, man. Belgium around there, like it could be Soviets, but then again, all the way to Belgium, wouldn't like British and everybody will kind of like NATO would panic. So was that B-2 bombers that NATO was stationing there because it was end of Soviet Union? So it could have gone either way. So that B-2 bombers there around Belgium, it could be that. I don't know. Usually whenever they talk about triangle alien things, I usually go to B-2 bomber because that's the only thing that makes sense. Apart from that, I don't know, man.
Reached after thousands of reports and hundreds of investigations was that whatever these crafts were, they were unlike anything known to exist. To this day, the government still wants answers about what exactly they all saw. Number 1. The Ariel School encounter.
Yeah, but oh my God, school thing. Oh, I think this was also part of that fact or faked thing. Yeah, it was. Kids, fucking kids, man. Small I think kindergarten. Yeah, kindergarten kids telling of the same account. And yeah, there was like, again, like I started this video with being very scientific, but around this time, I stay in the center of things. I keep the balance of science and like common sense. People usually go overboard with science as well, like, oh, by the way, kids were taught this, kids were told this. Yeah, it's a psychological phenomena where all kids say the same thing. Yeah, okay, sure, I can see that. But what is the probability of that? Usually I go with statistics. What is the probability of that? Usually people argue with, like, yeah, but what is the probability of actual aliens being there? That's not, we are not talking about that. We are talking about kids saying the same thing. We are talking about that probability. Don't jump from that to something else. We're not talking about what is the probability of aliens. That's not the conversation. Conversation, what is the probability of all kids saying the same thing? So I don't know, man. This one is. I understand why this is at the number one spot. I don't know. But yeah, the Belgian government thing, right? People assume that since government don't know what anything, like that means like probably military is not involved. You think government military works in a unison? It's such a perfect thing. That's not how it works. Sometimes new government comes, new people come, military officials don't brief them on something. There's a real chaos there. There's a real chaos between military wings, Air Force, Army, Navy. There's literal divide a lot of times. Like people don't know something about them. Right? Something happens that Navy knows about, but Air Force doesn't, let alone the government itself. And sometimes, like, there are secret things that, let's say NATO might be functioning in a way that they're not telling Belgian government everything, just briefing them at somewhat. So Belgian government don't know. And it might be one of those things that cause issues today with Russia, so they might keep it silent even today. That is reality.
Encounter. This is easily one of the most interesting, scary, and most bizarre encounters I've ever read about. On September 16th, 1994, in Rua, Zimbabwe, around 250 children were outside playing during morning recess, while the adults were inside having a faculty meeting. Little did anyone know that on that day, these children's lives would never be the same. Multiple silver crafts instantly appeared in the sky right above them. For a few moments, the crafts faded and reappeared in different locations, before descending into a nearby field beyond the playground. As many of the children ran into the school in complete fear, others decided to walk towards the landing site, as it was just beyond the school grounds. As they arrived, many of the children were instantly traumatized by what they saw. Laying in the field was an oval flying saucer that was about the size of a small bus. But that wasn't all. Standing next to and on top of the craft were two gray aliens around 3 feet tall, with large black eyes and small mouths. Both were wearing skin-tight black suits. The one on top of the ship was walking around as if it were inspecting the craft, while the other was standing beside it, staring directly at the children. This is when the alien on the floor began to slowly approach them, before disappearing and returning back to its starting position. It did this multiple times. Some children described it as if time itself was repeating, bending, or standing still. This is when many of the children were—
Son of a bitch. This could be one of those instances where, like, Einstein's obviously like talk about time loops and time travel in certain way, which is one of those things is out there. Like, I'm like, I'll see it, I believe it when I see it type of way. But it's a proper, theory. Not theory, it's a proper calculation by Einstein that I guess needs further, understanding, because it's a much broader subject than we even understand today. We need to understand quantum more than we can understand all this shit. But it's like one of those things which is like, okay, if everything falls in place, everything works, there's a chance that might work as well, however weird it might sound. The manipulation of time in certain way. So what if this is one of those things, literally time travel, but they are doing it very carefully, and some are fucked up here, so school kids just saw it. We think it's aliens, but what if these are robots, AI robots? We are already moving towards that. This is like one of those things, like, yeah, it could happen, right? In future we might realize that we can't show the people the time travel is real. It might create a fucked up butterfly effect. So we have to be careful, but people still fuck up, and that's what we call UFOs. It's not aliens, it's us. from the future somehow. Or even if it's aliens, not aliens, but us that became aliens, I guess, moved out. Fermi's paradox didn't happen. We dominated a galaxy and like time travel shit is happening, right? So that would explain the time loops and shit. Because people think pinpoint accuracy, time travel it's easy to do. It's not. Earth moves around, sun moves around. If you were to time travel, how the fuck you gonna get to a specific place? Like maybe you can calculate, but there's gonna be much higher error rate. You might be at the location of the moon instead of Earth or shit like that. That explains the spacecrafts. You would need spacecraft to time travel. So even if you like in rough location of the Earth, you can go to Earth. Shit like that. That could happen. And as far as the kids think, sure, this could be hoax. This could be teachers and faculties in Zimbabwe. Like, yeah, we need publicity. Brainwashing kids enough so they all repeat the same thing. That is a possibility, but I'm pretty sure there are psychological experts who try to break this down, and all kids still say the same thing. If you can dupe kids into saying the same thing, you can also dupe kids to reveal if somebody told them to say all this shit. So this is like one of those things like, okay, what is it?
Received the exact same message telepathically. The aliens seemed frustrated, warning them that humans were the ones to blame for destroying the planet. Some of the children received the message with visions of the planet being destroyed, while others just felt an overwhelming sadness and a sense of urgency over the well-being of the planet. A few moments later, the aliens and the aircraft instantly vanished. Meanwhile, the children who had stormed into the school were still attempting to convince the adults of what had happened. Of course, they all believed the kids were playing a prank. But once the rest of the kids arrived, it was obvious that whatever they saw left them traumatized, shaken, and
This is another things that I'm like, okay, so every single faculty, anyone, maybe, I don't know, like school guard or something like whatever, like gatekeeper or whatever, every janitor, no one was outside. This could have been one of those like save the planet, Greenpeace hoax shit. The kids were just taught to say this. They might have brainwashed the kids, which is not good for the kids. Like maybe who knows? Like I don't know. I'm trying to find explanation here, but yeah, this is weird.
in shock. Seeing this, the principal instructed all of the kids to draw what they saw. These are those drawings.
What the?
Obviously, this is the only drawing that can't be trusted. As you can tell, the majority of the drawings are striking.
Another element that is that schools are not in remote places. They are near towns, near cities. That's how it works. If in broad daylight spacecrafts are coming, nobody was around school, on roads, maybe there's a hospital even half a kilometer from there, spacecraft can be seen. If a plane, if there's an airport near you, even 10 kilometers from here, and you see a plane coming, you would see that, however small. Spacecraft, even the size of bus, if three of them appear, nobody can see them. I don't know, man. This is one of those skeptical things that becomes, could be, it's Zimbabwe. Okay, is this in a village, right? Are these people who like tight-knit community? Because that means like these kids could have like together watched some movie in their neighborhood because all parents might be like in the same neighborhood. Shit like that happens a lot. I know that happens. Like people, certain like in certain communities where like small, tight packed, they go to the same school, they live same place, they usually play same place, play around their house. Their houses are at the same place. They could have watched some alien movie, all the kids at night, and next day, because how kids' brains are, maybe everybody hallucinated, right? Some hallucinated feed off to the other. Kids are so impersonated that if someone says like, oh, I'm seeing that, the kid might just start to see that himself. Because kid believe that person, that kid or that guy, whatever is saying that, it must be true, and starts to imagine that shit. That happens a lot. Like this is a real paranoia level shit, right? Hysteria exists. We know of that. Like like it spreads very easily in an airplane and everywhere. These are like elements that could have happened. There is an explanation like that.
similar, while those who approached the landing site drew the same two aliens and ship. Keep in mind that many of the children were in different classes, as their ages ranged from 6 to 12 years old. After the incident, many of the students took weeks off from school to recover from what they had
12.
witnessed that day. Some
I don't know about 12, man. 12 is not small enough to be duped like that. 12 is big enough, like, to understand that. That's literally teenagers.
never returned. To this day, over 30 years later, all of those children, now adults, still stand by their statements and what they witnessed that day. Not a single one of them has ever came out and said that this was a hoax or an
But they were kids. Like, they might not even remember what happened, but this event. You say how that happens. Okay, I'll tell you how that happens. Let's say somebody taught them to do this, or hoaxed them, or like scarred them, just to, like, just to create this kind of a stunt. Afterwards, a lot of people came, news came, psychologists came, they asked them constantly over and over for years. If anything, they probably blocked out who told them to do this, and they only remember the event and everything after that, because that was so heavy, that was so much. For years, everybody asking them, everybody interviewing them, constantly being on TV because psychologists talking to them. They might not even remember how it started because they were kids. 12-year-old thing, I don't know about that. Like, the 12-year-old is not that small. I think 12-year-old would remember it. I don't know.
elaborate prank of any kind. Now, if only someone could have told the aliens that there are a lot nicer places they could have landed before
Manhattan?
slandering the entire human race and calling our planet a dump.
See, that's one of those things, like, the way it shows, like, okay, you humans killed the planet. Again, this makes me think, like, it might be one of us from the future who's telling us, like, we fucked up the planet. Which is real, by the way. It's just the way trends are going. I know people don't want to think about it, but I can easily envision few centuries from now on this planet being like hellhole, where you can't even breathe. Nothing's good. In 10 years, I see like seasons changing, even where I live. Nowadays, rain is much like in monsoons. Where I live, monsoon season has been a thing. Past 4 or 5 years, it's a lot of rain. It starts early, ends late as well. Like, it stays for a long time. Again, that could be like like temporary thing, but I don't know. So things become extreme. Rain becomes too much. Summer become too hot. Winter become too cold. That's how global warming works. People think, oh, by the way, if there's global warming, why is there cold? No, it doesn't just mean hot. It's the change, right? How extreme it is. So I can definitely see that happening in few centuries, where planet becomes completely fucked up. I don't see Mad Max level shit happening. I see us either moving to some other planet or trying to control the planet we live in, but with pockets, not having free reign on it. It might become this post-apocalyptic level shit, but only at the places the humans don't control. I don't know. We might have pocket controlling areas that we even atmospherically control. I don't know. Right, well, that was the impossible to debunk UFO events, but it's not good enough. If you like my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.